We're here at Alamo City Comic Con with quite possibly a legend, some would say, in the comic book and cartoon world, Mr. Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. My first question is two parts. Which one is your favorite Ninja Turtle, and why is it Raphael?
Well, it's like choosing a favorite Ninja Turtle is like choosing a favorite child, but it's like Michelangelo was the first turtle ever drawn. I drew that back in 1983, so I've always been partial to Michelangelo, but when I write and draw my own turtle stories, I gravitate towards Raphael because he's unpredictable, he's crazy, and I always team him up with Casey Jones because they're like the two retarded brothers that you always wanted in your life to beat each other up and have great adventures with. So.
Now, what's interesting is that as a young, glasses-wearing, book-reading child myself, I always gravitated towards Donatello. Mm-hmm. And I guess did you predict that four characters would give so many different types of people a chance to relate to specific characters, or was that just sort of something that came onto its own?
Well, Peter and I both grew up as huge fans of, comic books in general. You remember, we have the X-Men, we have the Avengers, and all these different groups. Even the New Mutants at that time was really popular, but we like the individual personalities because you want that group dynamic, and, so you always have, but at the same time, it almost felt like, even on the playground as a child, it's like you had one that was kind of the leader type. You had the comedian, the class, again, the goofy, the class clown. You had someone that was a bit more intellectual. All the friends that I hung out with were all like Donatello because we read comic books and we were kind of outcasts. But we like that dynamic because it helps, tell interesting stories, and they can sort of work off each other. So it's a familiar theme that we twisted into our own mutants.
And then for the last question, Michael Bay just released his own version of Ninja Turtles. What is it like, or is it hard to see it change so many times and have so many people do different interpretations of it, or is it actually, a kind of an attribute to the source material?
Well, what's so cool is that over the 30 years that we've been doing Turtles, it was our 30th anniversary this May when we released the first issue, but when Pete and I did the original comic book, we wrote it for ourselves. It was a black and white comic. It was a lot more edgy and written for an older audience. And we started early on with the changes to the total turtle concept, if you would, with the animated show. So we wrote them down for a much younger audience, and then we did that series. The new movies were sort of, the original movies like the 1990 and 92 movies were kind of a combination between the animated series and the black and white series. And as they continued on over these, how many years? Decades. The 2000 series was a bit edgier, and we changed some things. Even this year, when we started working with Nickelodeon, the new animated series, we changed up some bits of the origin and made them again for a younger audience. At the same time, working with IDW on the new series, which was again edged towards an older audience, and then with the new movie, it was a nice hybrid of both. But all of them seem to, the goals of each of those companies and each of those relationships and stuff always wanted it to be respectful to the heart and soul of the original characters. So I think they did a great job at doing that, especially I worked on the Michael Bay movie for about 4 years, and they did a great job at pulling it together and making it for all audiences. So it was really funny. They the personalities were all there, the pizza was there, the jokes were there. It was just silly and fun, and I really enjoyed that process.